Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wordfence Live. WordPress 5.7 releases today, and today on Wordfence Live, we're taking a look at what's new. We've got new features in the block editor, a one-click upgrade from HTTP to HTTPS, an API for robots.txt, and some other new features that we're going to look into today. So we're going to explore 5.7 today and demonstrate some of the new features so that you can get a head start on how to use those. Stay tuned. You're going to get a jump start on WordPress 5.7 when we get back. Thank you for joining us again on this edition of Wordfence Live. Today is March 9th, 2021. I'm streaming live from the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area here today where it is warming up. Let us know where you're tuning in from. If this is your first time joining us, my name is Scott Miller. I'm a customer support engineer here at Wordfence. In a few moments, I'm going to be joined by threat analyst Chloe Chamberlain and our director of marketing, Kathy Zant. Today, as I mentioned, we're looking at the WordPress 5.7 release, which is due out today. WordPress 5.7 brings a number of new features that add functionality and improve security. So we're taking a dive in to demonstrate how you can start using those new features today. We're also going to talk about what's up next for future releases of WordPress planned for this year. 2021 is going to bring us a full site editing with Gutenberg, which will fundamentally change how we use WordPress and improve our ability to bring new sites to the web and do so faster. We're all about making the web a better and safer place for everyone. You know, here with Wordfence, we have the Wordfence security plugin, Wordfence Central, Faster, Slow, and all of the tools that we provide for WordPress users. We're here to help you get the most out of WordPress, and the WordPress core team continuously adds better tools to help you do so as well. And we're here today to help you get the most out of those tools. If you're excited about today's stream, please hit the like button below the video here. You can hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified when we go live. We've been live every Tuesday at noon Eastern time. That's 9 a.m. Pacific. With a new show each week. We're broadcasting to YouTube, so we ask that you don't post anything sensitive in the chat. You can email us directly at feedback@wordfence.com and use the subject line Wordfence Live when you write in. Let's get started with the content today. Let's bring in Kathy Zant and Chloe Chamberlain. Hey, Kathy, how's it going?
It's going well, Scott. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Chloe, how's it going over there?
It's doing great. It's warming up, so 40 degrees here today. So I'm not looking forward to it, but I kind of am at the same time. So
I was going to say you've probably been enjoying the colder weather and the snow, right? You've been doing some snowboarding.
Yes, right. Yeah, a lot of that. But we actually got an RV and we're renovating it. So I'm looking forward to the warm weather so I can continue the renovations because it's been put on hold. So there's a lot to look forward to.
What about over there, Kathy? You enjoying the weather?
Enjoying it much more than I did a few weeks ago. It's like night and day, a complete different world. But yeah, it's hanging in there.
Now, Chloe, you had a blog post yesterday, right? Do you want to tell us what the vulnerability was that you discovered and the plugin for that?
Yeah, definitely. So the plugin itself is the Plus add-ons for Elementor, and it's the premium version of the plugin. And so what was discovered is that there was several vulnerabilities in the plugin, and some of which were being actively exploited. And so what these vulnerabilities would allow attackers to do is create new user accounts on these vulnerable sites with the administrator role. So right off the bat, you can register as an administrator, and this is completely unauthenticated, so anybody could do it. And the other one would allow them to actually log in as any user on the site. And so you would have to find the username of the administrator, of course, in order to get that administrator access. But it was still possible. It's really easy to find usernames, unfortunately. So there was that. And then there was a registration. And so basically attackers could get administrator access onto these sites running the plugin. And it was being actively exploited. So just over the past day, we blocked like a little over 200 attacks or attack attempts. So that's pretty good. If you are a premium user, you got those firewall rules yesterday. And if you're free, you're going to get those April 7th, I believe. And if you don't have the firewall rule, we recommend removing the plugin right now. I'm in contact with the plugin developer, and they are working on creating that fix. And they're very responsive, and they're actually one of the best responses I've had in a while for 0 days. So that is very good, and they are working on getting it fixed. So that is good news.
So as you said, still actively under attack, though we are blocking that and our premium customers are protected there. I believe you mentioned that our free users would get those firewall rules on April 7th. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Kathy, we are hiring here at Wordfence, right?
We are hiring at Wordfence. We have a number of positions open. If you head over to wordfence.com and scroll down to the bottom, there's a link down there for careers. You can click on that and take a look at all the positions we have open. We are also offering a little bonus if you know of someone who would fit here at Wordfence, helping us to make the web a better place, whether helping us to get the word out about fast or slow and doing some research there. Or if you want to work in PHP development, we have a couple of positions open there as well. We are sweetening the pot. If you have someone that you can refer to us, we will give you a $500 bonus if you refer a successful candidate. So if you know someone who is just amazing, knows WordPress, loves PHP, loves security, all of that fun stuff. Our security operations position as well. All four of those positions are eligible for that $500 bonus. So go take a look at that. There's a blog post over on defiant.com that Adam can probably put in the chat. I don't know what direction it is. I was going to be cool and point, but Adam can post that for you. Go take a look at that. And if you know someone, refer them, because Wordfence is an amazing place to work. We're doing great work. We are making the web safer day after day. So definitely an option there we're looking for good people.
We got some awesome benefits as well. So if you missed last week's stream here, we went over some of those, and Chloe talked about some of the positions that she has held in the company. So there is room to move around here at Wordfence, and as Kathy said, awesome place to work. Now, before we get started, a little while back we mentioned a new program that Wordfence had launched to help K through 12 public schools in the United States with free site security, audit, and site cleanings. Now, recently we had a bunch of interest in that, and we were able to expand that. The site cleaning and audit services to K through 12 government funded or state schools in any area, including the UK, Canada, Australia, and elsewhere. So if you know of a school that could use our expertise, you can send them our blog post, and we'll get that linked into the chat here in a few minutes as well. So we announced that first on Wordfence Live about a month ago. I don't know, Kathy, time's flying, so I'm losing track of our streams here. It's just, we're rolling right along, right?
We are rolling right along. I think it's almost a year that we've been doing Wordfence Live in various iterations, and we're just really grateful for everyone who shows up. If there's ever a topic that you'd like us to cover, please let us know. You can send it to feedback@wordfence.com, or you can put it in the chat if there's something that you'd like us to do a deep dive on. But I think today we're going to have some fun with this new version of WordPress that's dropping today, aren't we?
We are, and with regards to that, let's get right into our swag question. We're going to post a link into the chat, and you will want to answer in the link rather than in the chat itself. And the swag question is, when was the block editor known as Gutenberg released as part of WordPress core? So you will see a link there in the chat. You can click on that and submit your answer and your information, and we will announce the winners at the end of the stream today. Now, speaking of Gutenberg, we are going over the new release of WordPress 5.7, which is releasing today. We have a lot to cover, right, Kathy? Where do we want to start here?
Yeah, there is a lot to cover. I think it would be helpful for everyone that's watching is to kind of understand why Gutenberg and why the block editor is so important. When the block editor was introduced into WordPress core, swag question, we won't give you that exact date. But when it was released, there was, a lot of hubbub about it. There was a lot of, those of us who, and I was one of them, who started with WordPress as a blogging tool way back in the day. I started with WordPress when movable type was like the blogging platform, and then WordPress, the little blogging platform that came along, and it did such a nice job of being able, because it used a database, it made it very easy for you to separate your content, your blog content, from design. So back in the day, it was really important to keep your blog fresh, but you didn't want to have to go like restylize all these like individual HTML pages for each individual blog post. You wanted to be able to like theme it and quickly and easily put a new look and feel, modernize your content so that the content you posted, 3 years ago started to look like, it was, with the times, and it didn't look, like GeoCities 1999, right? So, WordPress, that evolution as a blogging platform is really important to understand. As more and more people were using WordPress to create sites and to create pages, things called page builders started popping up. So people would want to be able to have like e-commerce pricing tables so that you can see like the different prices for different products. And all these page builders like Divi and Elementor, and there's a few others, came along and gave you tools as a plugin or as a theme to be able to add these additional features to a page in this blogging platform known as WordPress. So this is where WordPress was going. It was going to turn into a content management system, not just a blogging platform, that allowed you to do all sorts of things. All of these plugins came on the market with learning management systems like LearnDash or like Lifter LMS. WooCommerce was purchased by Automatic, I think it was in 2015, and it came on the scene. And so people were doing commerce. And so WordPress needed to kind of, either you were using these page builders or you were going to have to do something, because this blogging platform wasn't going to be able to create these kinds of robust pages. So WordPress had to evolve, and Gutenberg became that evolution. And what we're starting to see now, and we're going to go through some of these tools, we're starting to see WordPress really evolve. And we've seen in the past few months, we've seen the news that WordPress is now 40% of the web, of the major websites that are out there using WordPress. Would that 40% have been hit if we did not have Gutenberg, if we did not have this block editor that gives you the capability of basically bringing in all of these graphic elements, these different user interfaces into WordPress? I don't think so. I think we would have had, page builders going one way, and, page builder has to do all of these different things. So it becomes a very robust tool, but it can be very heavy. And bringing it into core, bringing those types of features and capabilities into core made WordPress, I think, competitive. And it needed to evolve. It needed to kind of come to this place where you can edit your entire site using blocks that are native to core WordPress. And so I think that this is what we're seeing now. Gutenberg, when it first came out, was sort of at its very beginning stages of being able to show us how to do that. And now we're starting to see the capabilities of WordPress really becoming a full-featured content management system where you can create all sorts of pages. So I think we should get into it. But before we update WordPress, what do we need to do, Chloe?
We need to back up. Yes.
We need to back up.
So you're like, it's so important that you do backups regularly, but when it comes to such a big update like this 5.7, you're going to want to back up your site just in case something breaks. I'm not saying something will break, but you never know what can happen. They've done a lot of testing and everything, so things should be good. But you should definitely make that backup right before you do it. And if you have it on auto updates, since it hasn't been pushed out yet, you might want to go and back up right now real quick, but probably already have it done if you're doing an auto update. So just make sure to back.
Now, Kathy, Chloe, as far as a big update like this, 5.7, how would we recommend users update to 5.7? Do we recommend waiting a little bit? I'm guessing, it's going to depend on what kind of site you're running exactly and how many eyes you have on the site and its functionality, right? And
Yeah,
we've looked
definitely.
at this with Sally's cat blog before. We did a stream where we talked about the last big release, I believe, and we talked about what should you enable automatic updates for, depending on the size of your company and what your site is exactly, right, Kathy?
Right. Well, I mean, if your site is mission critical, you need to have a staging server. You need to update there first and run tests. I mean, there's still probably going to be issues that crop up every once in a while. I have friends and family that I help with WordPress because, hey, you work for Wordfence, you must know WordPress. So everyone that I've ever known in my life who isn't in WordPress thinks that I am, of course, the expert. And so I'll help them do an update. And then all of a sudden, like, emails are being sent out to all of their customers. And it's like, how is this happening? So then you have to like troubleshoot all of that. Now that's something, that can happen in production, but you want to isolate and see and just make sure that the core functionality of your site hasn't been touched by any kind of update, whether it's a core update, whether it's a plugin update. Now I've looked at WordPress 5.7. I have looked at the release candidate, and most of the features and the functionality that is being added is in the block editor. There's other features that are being added as well, but you're probably not going to see major problems with this update, but still, if it's mission critical, update on a staging server first, update and test that update before you update in production. It's just kind of good practice, don't you think, Chloe?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of those changes in the block editor, I am going to show you a short little demo here of a few of those here as I share my screen and make sure that I am clicking on the right tab here. Okay, so here's what we're seeing here, and we have quite a few drafts set up here as we've been playing around with this for a little while on our side. So the first thing you're going to notice, and Kathy had mentioned, as far as making the core editor in WordPress, a full site editing platform with Gutenberg, we're seeing some steps going that way here. And one of the first things that I noticed is the ability to drag our blocks here. So you can simply just drag over. You'll see the line come across your screen there, which allows you to drop something in. So, that's the first thing that I noticed whenever I updated here, and it makes it a little easier. Now, of course, you can click on these as well. Now, one thing to take note of is this sidebar. Now, this has been there. So depending on how much you use Gutenberg and the editor here, this is going to be familiar with you, but having this open on the side makes this easier as you're seeing your options, and you have a few different toolbars here to keep an eye on. So it just makes it a little easier while you're adding these blocks to the post or the page here. So the first thing is the ability to drag here. You can drag these, drop them over. Now this is a post. You can do the same thing with your pages. This keeps wanting to default to buttons, as I do remember searching for a button earlier. It almost seems like we have a little bug. Are you noticing anything there, Kathy, that I have set on design?
Not sure.
I think you
After
might
I
be.
dragged the button, it comes over. I don't know. That's an interesting little thing. After you add it, we're getting it back here. So now one change that we do have is the ability to add buttons vertically, right? So and that's
Yes.
done on our side panel over here. I got 10 buttons lined up, and they're actually already lined up in a vertical fashion here. So we're seeing that right off the bat. I think I'm going to switch out to a new draft here as we go forward. But the next thing that we want to show is the ability to send password resets here. Now, this is a new feature that was just added. If you go over to your users area, are you still seeing my screen share there, Kathy?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to check. So you have the ability to send these password resets in a few different ways. If you want to send them in a bulk fashion, maybe you have a bunch of people you need to send password resets to, you can do that from this drop down up here, which you'll see the send password reset, or you can do it individually here by just hovering over each user itself and click the send password reset. Now that is going to go over to Chloe, and she is going to share her screen in just a moment. I want to see if I'm seeing any different functionality here. So we see our blocks here on the left side. We see our patterns. Kathy's going to show us a little bit about these reusable blocks here in a few minutes. Another change that was a subtle change, but a change is your social icons. Now you can change the size of here as well. And you'll notice a few of these little buttons here that were added. And I know last time on our prior stream where we were covering an update for WordPress, these buttons here got an overhaul. It made things a little easier to see, and just the focus of it was a lot easier. And these are all changes that are going to continue down the line, similar to what Kathy said. You know, this is going to be the way to build your blog out or your site out or your store out. So lots of cool features. And, you know, the biggest thing to note there is the drag and drop. It just makes it a lot easier as you go. It feels like that's how it should be. So Chloe, did you get my email there on your side?
Yes, I did. Let me just go ahead and share my screen real quick. So, so here's my screen. They ended up in spam, just because it's from an unfamiliar source. But I got a password reset email from him sending over the password reset from the admin dashboard. This is something that you couldn't do before. You would have to essentially explain to a user that couldn't log into your site that they would need to go to, the login page and click for forgot password and whatnot. So this makes it a little bit easier for administrators to help users reset their password. So basically, if a customer comes to you and says, I can't log into your site anymore, I forgot my password, I don't know what to do, then the administrator could just send the forgot password link. Or let's say an administrator set up a user account and somehow they lost that setup password email the first time, they can go ahead and send a new one using this. So it makes it a little bit easier and a little bit more functional for administrators to provide better customer service, I guess you could say. And so it's a nice little feature to have in there.
That's great. And it's really important because WordPress is being used for so many different things. So many people, commerce is huge right now. We just did a podcast recently where we went over some statistics on the search data. What are people searching for when they're looking for things with WordPress? And they're searching for things related to WooCommerce. So commerce is huge. When you have a commerce site, the technical aptitude of the average user who is showing up on that particular site they might not know how to find the forgot password link. So being able to, as an administrator, go find that user and send that user a forgot password link, even using Wordfence on your site and seeing that you have users who, valid users. If you go into the firewall section and you can see valid users that are unable to log in, you can be proactive using Wordfence to find that data and send them a forgot password link, and then contact that user and say, we noticed that you were having issues logging in. We just sent you a password reset so that can get you in. So just being aware of, the use case. If it's just your personal blog, you probably don't need that feature. But if you're using this for commerce, for a learning management system, a membership site, and you know that your users might be having an issue, these are tools that can help you stay on top of what's happening there. Chloe, you were going to show us how to migrate from a new feature in WordPress 5.7 that shows us how to easily migrate from HTTP to HTTPS. Do you have a demo of that?
Yes, I do. So this is probably my favorite feature just because it has to do with security. So what it is let me get rid of all this stuff and let me share my screen. So
Judy had asked in the chat what theme people are using with Gutenberg. That's an excellent question. If you're currently utilizing this and you have a theme, a go-to theme, let us know what it is in the chat. Would like to take a look at that.
I would like to know that too. I'm very curious what people are using for themes. And if you're using Gutenberg, I'm seeing some people who are not quite on the Gutenberg wagon yet. And what are you using to build out robust pages? So I'm curious of all of that.
Charla had asked if the classic editor is going away or if it will still be available. Anything on that, Kathy, that you know of right now, or is that just something we'll have to see kind of down the line?
Say again, with the classic editor?
Yeah, is that just going to be completely gone, or is it going to continue to be like plugin related?
It is going to be retired eventually. Let me see if I can find when that is.
Now, Chloe, where are we seeing this feature to the simple one click here?
Yeah, so to get started here real quick, I have a test site set up for us. Right now, it does not have an SSL TLS certificate. So basically what that means is my traffic being sent from my client to my server, so my WordPress site to my server, backend and everything is not encrypted. So if I were to go into a coffee shop and not use a VPN, an attacker sniffing the network could snag any data that's being sent. So like if your customer went into a coffee shop and logged into your site, they weren't using any sort of protection, an attacker can read that. So it's really important that you have an SSL TLS certificate installed. And then, so what this feature is once you install a TLS SSL certificate on your site, you would have to go in and you would go to the settings area real quick. This is before 5.7. So you would go into general and you would have to change your WordPress URL here and your site URL to use HTTPS. So that's after you've got that certificate installed. And one of the things that kind of sucked a little bit was that that's the only thing that would change. So you would have to install another plugin or something, or make the changes yourself manually to get all the URLs and images on your site converted into HTTPS as well. So let me go ahead and show you. I have a couple of posts for you just to show you that right now nothing is encrypted and I don't have HTTPS. I have a couple of cute cat photos today too. So right now, go ahead and inspect this. You can see that it's using HTTP right now. I'm not sure if I can zoom in, but let's see. So right here, it's just HTTPS. And so essentially what would happen is I would upgrade to use my SSL TLS. When I change those site URLs, this wouldn't change in old versions of WordPress. And so you'd have to install that plugin. And so now I'll show you what happens with their new feature. So I'll go ahead and get rid of that and we'll go back here. And one thing that you might not already know about, or you might already know about, is something called the site health, which is a really nice feature if you don't know about it. And so it kind of gives you a little bit of information about your site's health, some cool things. So like you should remove inactive plugins and all that sorts of stuff. And so one of the new features is this HTTPS feature. And so what you can do is you can click this button to update your site to use HTTPS. But right now I don't have an SSL TLS certificate installed. So I'll go ahead and show you how to do that real quick as a little bonus today. So if you are using a cPanel, your hosting provider likely has a way for you to install this, super simple. But sometimes that's not always the case. So Let's Encrypt is a really good option for you. And you can reach out to your hosting provider to see what they offer and what next steps you might need to take for this. But with my hosting provider for my demo sites, I have the ability to use Let's Encrypt SSL with just a couple of clicks. So I'll go ahead and find the site that we're using today. And so this is really, really simple. So I just go ahead and click issue right here. And then I can include whatever I want. I can click issue as soon as I'm done. You can do a dry run real quick just to make sure things work. But I'm just going to go ahead and issue it real quick. And this will take a couple of seconds. While this is loading, Kathy, do you have an answer for that classic editor?
I searched for it and WordPress.com is retired it. So if you're on .com, hey, you're in Gutenberg. You know what? I know that I had seen sometime over the past couple of years that eventually the classic editor would go away. But what do we know about WordPress? We know that if there is a need, if there is a desire, even if it's only for 20 people, somebody's going to write a plugin for it. So even if the classic editor, as we know today, is no longer supported, by whoever's supporting it right now, somebody is going to have a classic editor plugin. It will exist. So, you can still always use, plugins to do things. So I'm sure if someone will adopt it and care for it, like the plugin should be. So I'm seeing a lot of interesting use of different themes, some of which that I'm familiar with in the content or in the comments. And there's a lot of themes that are very, very light. And I think the biggest thing that Gutenberg, or the block editor, as I'm starting to call it, because it's really starting to become part of WordPress. It's not like this thing that just kind of came along and took over WordPress. It's becoming a part of WordPress. And a lot of these themes are really having to change how they do things. And things like Generate Press, Astra, some of these lighter weight themes are the ones that are preparing for this. The one that we have on our demo site, which I'll show in just a minute, is Generate Press, very lightweight theme, very easy to use, that allows you to really customize various elements of your site so that Gutenberg can, or the block editor can be used throughout.
Awesome.
How's that SSL certificate coming along?
Yeah, so it looks like it's been installed. So let's go ahead and test this out real quick. I'm going to go to here, HTTPS. See if that works real quick. And since it was installed, it's going to log me out. But now you can see that up here, I have this little connection is secure because I supplied the HTTPS protocol. So if I go to the site, I can still navigate to the normal one. So I'm going to go ahead and log back in. And this is where it gets nice and easy. Cookies are blocked. Blah. Let's try this one more time. Usually that works like 15 times and then I log in.
There you go.
So with older versions of WordPress, you would have to go here and you would change just to HTTPS. And so then you would update it like that. But now that we have this nice new feature, let me just refresh this page to make sure everything's fine. It's not fine. Log in 15 times.
Just as you say that everything will get easier, it has to be difficult, huh?
Not wanting to work. So I'm just going to get rid of that and I'm going to go back. Oh, so you saw the site health screen from the dashboard.
Yeah.
You can also find it by going to tools and site health. So that's another way to find it. And then I'll let this load real quick. And your website does not use HTTPS. And so I'm going to go ahead and click update your site to use HTTPS. It's going to log me out again. But now you can see this little lock here, which is nice. And I'm going to go in.
And so this is going to update all of your HTTP, like all of your images, everything?
Yes, that's what it's supposed to do. So we're going to go ahead and verify that real quick. And so I'm going to go to General again, and you can see that this has been updated to HTTPS, which is great. And now I'm going to go back to my post, and we're going to say, let's take a look at the COVID-19 Safe Cat. We got a cute little cat again. I'm going to go ahead and inspect this. And now you can see here that this image has been updated to use HTTPS.
Nice.
Sorry if you can't see it because I can't really zoom in. But it's HTTPS there. So this is a really nice, cool feature. So if you don't have HTTPS on your site right now and you haven't installed your SSL TLS certificate, but you have a whole lot of content on your site, this makes it so much easier for you to make that change. And so my call to action is if you don't have an SSL TLS certificate installed right now, please make sure you go do that because it's very important for the security of your traffic. So it's important for your customers' data. It's important for your logging in data and so on. So make sure you go do that. And then you can use 5.7 to make those content changes that you need to do. So that is a really nice feature and I really like it.
That's awesome. It's also really important for your SEO, for search engine. So if you're trying to, play nice with Google and play nice with search, you need to have HTTPS on your site because they will prioritize sites that are using a secure connection, SSL, HTTPS. So this is going to make your site more friendly to Google, which is important.
That's an excellent and very easy to use feature. That the site health area, comes up here and there for people who are just running a little blog or something. So when you see that and you're not currently maybe utilizing, some of the plugins, such as there's a really simple SSL, I believe, or easy SSL that sort of fixes your mixed content errors that you're seeing in the console there. This is pretty much a replacement for that, right? You can pretty much get rid of those plugins at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
I saw a question that's asking if it actually changes the HTTP to HTTPS in the database. I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe it changes it in the database, and I'm going to check right now to see if that was changed. So just give me a moment on that.
Well, if it's changing that image, it would probably have to change all of the relevant links that were, on site. But I know you're going to verify that. Chloe is very good at verifying and making sure things are accurate. Somebody was asking about jQuery. And let's talk a little bit about what's going on with jQuery. So when WordPress 5.6 came out, jQuery was updated. And I don't know if this happened to any of you, but there were a few plugins and themes that were not ready for jQuery's new and improved look and feel. They were not ready. And so a lot of sites had numerous issues. So there were patches applied to WordPress to cover that. And you had to start using a plugin called jQuery Migrate that would cover all of the incompatibilities there. And they were going to fix this in WordPress 5.7. And so everybody was supposed to, all of the plugin developers and theme developers that were using older versions of jQuery were going to have to update to use the new language requirements for the updated version of jQuery. And guess what? There's people who aren't ready. So that can has been kicked down the road. If you were worried about something breaking with jQuery in WordPress 5.7, don't worry about it. Nothing's changing from what you are dealing with 5.6. Whatever. The patched versions of WordPress that are and jQuery Migrate, there's enough out there that isn't ready for the new version. So that's all been kicked down the road. So no big fiery updates, dumpster fire issues are going to happen with jQuery with WordPress 5.7. Still, that doesn't mean you shouldn't back up. Always back up.
Well, I was going to say, Kathy, on that note, it's still a good time, right, to go through your plugins and get rid of anything that is just not being updated any longer by the plugin authors. If Wordfence is letting you know that you have abandoned plugins via the scan, you want to get in and find replacements for those, because depending on what they're hooked into with WordPress, once these changes come, those could possibly break. And, just having abandoned plugins on the site in general is a security concern there. So a good time to go through and make some changes. And as Greg said, got to keep those plugins updated or get them replaced. If they're abandoned, find a replacement ideally for that.
Definitely. And we have a previous live stream that we did a while ago where we talked about how to evaluate plugins and how to actually look at whether or not a plugin has a good team behind it, whether the developer is someone that you can trust, by not only looking at, security issues, but also looking at how are they supporting that plugin on the forums, that type of thing. So that live stream can be really helpful. I'm sure it's in one of our live collections here on YouTube.
So we have some more to touch on, and I know you have some things to show in the editor as well, Kathy. What do we want to take a look at next?
Do you want me to show the editor? Do you want me to play with it? I played with it yesterday, and I was like, ooh, neat. This is all working really well. And I built out a page and added a puppy, those types of things. I can go ahead and share my screen and show a little bit of what I was doing with our lovely new editor.
It all went so smoothly last night whenever I was using it. I was using the drag and drop and the blocks and everything. And then today I got on and I couldn't figure out what I was doing. I think it's just one of those days. Yeah.
So now something that I know that bothers a lot of people is that they'll come in and the screen will look like this. well, it won't even look like this. That all this stuff will go away, and they'll just have a full screen editor. I am not a fan of that because I'm old school, and I'm very much used to having my sidebar over here and knowing where I am in the midst of things. So that's something that you can turn on over here. And then the block editor is loads of fun. So we're going to add just a title to this page. Let's say we're going to add a new home page and we want a hero image. So this is kind of a cool thing that they added. So you can grab your cover. Obviously, it's like showing a little preview over here. When you hover over things, it shows you a preview of what you're getting, and then you can drag that over. I'm going to go into the media library. Isn't this little girl cute? And we are going to turn that into a full height deal. Now I'm using Generate Press on here, and so I want it to be all the way across. So I can go into actually the post elements here, and I can say that I want to have no sidebars. And let's see, I would like it to be a full width container with the most adorable puppy. Claire will be happy. My daughter wants this puppy very much. So this full height block is something that you can add. So let's go ahead and publish this and take a look at this page and see if it did. Yes, it did what I thought it would do. Obviously, this was not set up for exactly this space, so her head's getting chopped off. But this tall picture was set to be full height. So that is one new feature of WordPress 5.7. Other cool things that you can do that we talked about were being able to drag over. So if I wanted to add buttons, I could do that up here. And then you have things called reusable blocks now. So wait, where are you going? Reusable blocks. So we have some reusable blocks, and this kind of just looks like a post editor, but you can have reusable blocks. Now, this is really helpful in cases like you want to have contact information or social information embedded on various pages. You want the block to look the same, but you don't necessarily want to have it as, always look like it is in the footer. And you want to have it on the contact page. You want to have it on another page that has a call to action. You could create a reusable block here. You can actually take a block that you had added to another page, and you can set that up as a reusable block so that when you are you're on a particular page, I don't know if this is, yeah, that's the right one. You can pull in one of those reusable blocks. So let's say we want Chloe's image from her live stream or from the blog post from yesterday. We can pull that in. Has nothing to do with the puppy, but here we go. An image that you can pull in as a reusable block that you might want to have on numerous pages. Other cool things that you can do. Well, we talked about the social images. You showed that earlier, right? And then we were going to talk about lazy loading. So let's say we wanted to add a YouTube video down here. Now, because we are doing an external call, we're calling in content from an external source. Who knows how YouTube is going to respond? Maybe they're having an outage, and you don't want your customer's user experience on their site to be affected by that particular call from an external resource and embed. So you can now enjoy lazy loading on any embeds. So that is automatically built into core. Don't even really need to show you anything here. Just know that when you're adding content in an embed, whether it be a YouTube URL or any other kind of video, you can actually enjoy that lazy loading happening here. What other
some
things
nice
do
features, huh?
We have some nice new
Yeah.
features.
Some good additions. I think, as Chloe said, I think my favorite, that's easy. It's an easy switch to HTTP to HTTPS there with the one click. That's nice to have. But the lazy loading, that should help quite a bit for sites. I had seen somebody mention a few minutes ago in chat, about a lot of content on a site. That's going to be something that can help, especially a lot of
Yeah.
videos.
Yeah, definitely. Now, somebody's saying that they had a hard time finding where their reusable blocks are. Hey, I had that problem too. If you go up over to this to the three dots up here, and you go down to, it was under here somewhere, the manage all reusable blocks. And so that'll take me to this particular page. So if you're in the posts, that's a quick and easy way to do it. The other thing is if you're in posts and you go to the block manager over here and you go to reusable, manage all reusable blocks is right there as well. So those two places will bring you into reusable blocks.
Now, I believe we have our swag winners ready to go. So if you submitted the swag form there, you may have been one of our 5 winners, which were Todd, Marique, Elaine, Lou, and Diego. Do we have a graphic? I'm not sure if we have a graphic yet. Let me get those names again. And we will be contacting you. We had Todd Temple, Marique, Elaine, Lou Wheeler, and Diego Rodriguez were our winners there. So we will be sending out an email to you, and we'll be in contact with you to get that sent out to you. As always, if you want to share any pictures with us, you can send those over for us to have on the show.
Don't we have a
yeah,
a picture?
I was gonna
Don't we?
say, I think we have.
Sean?
We may have a graphic related to that as well.
Yeah. Okay.
We have that graphic.
We have that graphic. Yeah, we had a cat actually,
yeah.
who sent us in some swag pictures as well. What was the answer to the swag question?
Oh yes. One moment, I have that. I'm trying to remember the swag question. It was, when was Gutenberg added in, right, Kathy?
Added into WordPress core. It was December.
And it was December 6th, 2018.
You have the exact date? Wow,
Yes,
look at you.
yes. I got so many things opened up right now. That was part of WordPress 5.0 when the block editor known as Gutenberg was released as part of WordPress core. And, that was just the beginning. We're seeing the changes now. And as we mentioned at the top, this is going to continue to expand and make these making pages and sites easier going forward. And it was, a good update today. Now we're going to talk a little bit. Do we want to touch on, kind of upcoming changes? Maybe just what we may expect, or should we save that maybe for a future Wordfence Live show?
Yeah, we can go over, I think, 2021 is the year of making WordPress able to edit your full site. So it's gone from, a couple of years ago, just December 2018. So really only a couple of years that it has gone from this tiny little editor that has content that you can, add links and bold things, but it didn't give you a lot of flexibility in terms of what you were editing. And now it has evolved into all of these blocks, reusable blocks, blocks that you can create yourself and rename them to be whatever you want to call them within that reusable block component in WordPress. It's turning into something, and we're only at one particular milestone of this journey of turning into a full site editing capability. So all of the things that you could have done with page builders in the past and had this plugin that did all of these things, now you're able to do this within WordPress core. And, is it 100% there? No. But if you waited until it was 100% done, it would never get done. But I really like how they are adding more and more features, getting new people into the new editor. Think about all of us who started with the classic editor, what it is called classic editor now, back in the day, it's like a completely different editing experience now. People who are new to WordPress, this is what they think WordPress is. This is what they know. And it's going to become an experience of editing your entire site, editing headers, taking a header off of a page, those types of things. And the theme makers and the theme developers that are aware of what that milestone is, or what those milestones are, being able to, work with WordPress and watch that development happen, are the ones that are going to succeed.
Yeah, and we're going to be seeing, I know at the top of the list, one thing that they had mentioned, there's going to be some changes to the way we work with widgets.
Yes.
As far as the blocked-based widget editor. So that's something to keep an eye out. And as you said, if you wait for it to be completely done and the features to all be there, you're just going to be waiting and waiting and waiting and using other plugins. But it's nice to not have to use a page builder with the built-in functionality. If
Right.
you have a bunch of plugins on your site, you're always going to be worried about something, with security issues and performance issues. And, this is potentially one less thing that you need there.
Right. And one of the things that we're seeing is that, people are testing page builders in terms of page speed. They're using things like fast or slow to really test, what does one page builder look like in terms of speed. And Gutenberg, because it's in core, is just winning. So, and you can still, have Gutenberg on your site and still install Elementor, still install Divi, still install, any kind of page builder. It's inherently available, it has to work with WordPress where it's at. But, I'd say try the new features in Gutenberg. Try to do as much as you can with core. It's going to make your site faster. It's going to make your site easier to manage. As more and more tools come forward, it's going to make your life a lot easier.
We want to say congratulations again to our swag winners, Todd, Marique, Elaine, Lou, and Diego. We will be getting emails out to you, and you will hear from us here shortly. Kathy, do you want to... well, Chloe, I'm sure we got a cat picture there. Oh, my. That is adorable.
That's, I believe that's Joel and his elder statesman, Birdie, who watches Wordfence Live. Isn't it great that we appeal to so many different audiences, whether four-legged or two?
I was going to say, do not hesitate to send us cat and dog pictures,
Yes, please do.
especially with some Wordfence swag.
Yeah.
Definitely makes our day. Now, Chloe, your post yesterday came out, and had our viewers been on the mailing list, they would have got immediate attention on that. Can you talk about the mailing list and the podcast a little bit, Kathy? What have you been covering there? It's you and Ram typically, right?
Yeah. Sometimes we have other people on. Yeah, we talk about everything that relates to WordPress security and innovation. Sometimes we go a little bit deep on security topics. But yeah, we're just, kind of give you an overview of what's happening in WordPress, what's happening with security. Last week, there was an Exchange server vulnerability that I think kept a lot of people awake and stressed out over the weekend. So we talked a little bit about that. We talked about some of the vulnerabilities. We go a little bit further in depth and explain, sometimes people don't want to read an entire blog post about a vulnerability, but they say, give me the TLDR on something I can listen to on the way to work or that type of thing. So so the podcast is always great. And you can get on a mailing list for the podcast. If you go to wordfence.com/podcast, there's a specific mailing list just for the podcast if you want to get a notification.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you go to wordfence.com, go down to the footer there, you're going to see some helpful links. We got our blog, so if you want to catch up on some of the blog posts, there's a link to Central there. If you're not currently using Wordfence Central and you have multiple sites that are protected by Wordfence, then go ahead and click on that link and get those sites added to Central. It's going to make managing your sites a lot easier, the security of your sites. We also have some good documentation if any of the features are confusing you in Wordfence or you need a hand setting anything up. Those are in the footer of the wordfence.com homepage there. We also, as Kathy mentioned, we have the link to the podcast and the mailing list, and you can get signed up there. Chloe and Ram are very regularly getting out blog posts with new issues that they're finding, so you're going to be the first to hear about it. There. So, with these changes in WordPress 5.7, the lazy load, maybe you want to head over to fast or slow after you make the upgrade there and test out your site and take a look at all those metrics. If you're confused about any of them, we have some help on the site there for those. And we also did a show, I believe it was a few months ago now, Kathy, right, on fast or slow specifically. I think we had Ram and Mark on for that. So if you're looking to speed up your site and you want to get things in line there, that would be an excellent stream to follow along with. All right, Kathy, Chloe, what did we miss?
I just wanted to answer the question real quick about the HTTP to HTTPS. I've checked my database and it looks like it's not being updated in the database from HTTP to HTTPS. So it's just a filter that lets it load like that in the front end. So it's not actually being changed in the database, just so you know.
Interesting.
Yes.
I would think that it would. There's a plugin. I always use this plugin called Velvet Blue, and you can change URLs throughout the database, and it goes through all the different tables. So you could use that one just to double check. I don't know. That seems like naughty. Have that filter. Like, I want it changed in the database.
Yeah. I kept looking at it. I'm like, am I sure? I'm going to do some more digging after just to make sure too. It looks like it's not being updated as of right now. So that's my answer for that.
Interesting. Okay. And you're in the know because you watch Wordfence Live. Everybody else is out there thinking like I did.
I did too.
I thought I had read that it was as well, so I'm glad I didn't speculate there. One more quick shout out before we clock out here. Shout out to Tim Cantrell, our lead customer support engineer here. Just came up on an anniversary with the company here, Wordfence. So congratulations there, Tim. It is awesome working with Tim every day. And we have our other customer support engineer, Adam, in the chat as well. And you guys and girls that are watching, you're familiar with those two if you're interacting with them here each week. So congratulations to Tim. I see Brandon there. We appreciate all of our regulars here and everybody who tuned in. I'm sure we had some first-time viewers here, right, Kathy? We had a lot of people waiting when we got started today. So, there's a lot of videos here on the YouTube channel. If you're just getting going with Wordfence and you want to set anything up, Kathy has a lot of videos on the YouTube channel walking you through step-by-step setting some things up. And they are great, Kathy. I've used
that's why
them and so forth. So.
Well, you do them too. So it's good teamwork around here.
So until next week, we appreciate everybody stopping by. That was our overview of WordPress 5.7. If you're going to head over to your site now and keep an eye out for the update, make sure, as Chloe said, you back it up first, back everything up before you make the changes just to be safe. We will be back next Tuesday, where we could potentially bring a site back from the dead. We teased that last week, but we covered the 5.7 release, which was fun. And there's a lot of good features in there. So go ahead and explore that. Let us know what you think in the comments. And we will be back next Tuesday at 12 Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific, where we will hopefully see you then. All right. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye,